Hi folks, Sixslicers here. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to say about this knife. Really, it's, yeah, we'll come to it in a minute. Before I start though, if you do like this stuff, please give it a thumbs up. Please remember, a wee comment would be nice, and subscription would be great. It doesn't cost you anything, absolutely free, and you get notifications of all my videos. Something like 62% of you are not subscribed, but you watch my videos anyway, so might be worth a subscription. So what have we got here? Well, I'm not sure what to say about it really. If there's a gas station on Rodeo Drive, this is probably the knife that they sell. I've had a few Olamics on my channel in the past, and they are knives that sometimes I absolutely love, and sometimes I just don't get it. So the first one I ever saw, I think it was a whippersnapper. It was a great knife, brilliant action, top flipper or front flipper, but it just worked. But it had these big green, well, the cutouts like this, but they were green anodized, and there was a stripe across it as well. That just kind of spoiled it. The second one I had was another whippersnapper, but it was what they call the Warncliffe. I preferred the sort of cleaver blade off the first one, but I liked the handle off the second one. Now this one, like I say, this is the poshest gas station knife you'll ever see. It's got that kind of gaudiness of the gas station, but actually deep down is actually quite a good knife really. But you have to get over the orange and black Halloween color themed handle and the machining and the sort of faux bolster. You could perhaps get away with these holes as being lightning holes, but it is really about the aesthetic. If that's what you like, that's what you like. Solid backspacer in it as well, and when you turn it over, you've got the same sort of machining, but then I think quite incongruously you have a Damascus machined pocket clip. I mean, it's quite a nice looking pocket clip, but I don't see where the sort of bluey purples of the Damascus really ties in with the orange and black theme. And then at the same time you've also got pivot collars, which are again I presume a Damascus. So yeah, I think the aesthetic of this is, well, odd to say the least. Now it has caged bearings, so it should be a good flipper, but I think my chance of being able to flip it are next to nil. No, I'm not going to do it. Again, it's, as ever, it's not the knife, it's me. Now, it doesn't say on it what the blade steel is, but I believe currently Olamic are using CTS XHP for their blade steel. Also, they've given a kind of battle finish to the blade, so it kind of looks a bit, well worn from day one. Now, that's a look. Whether it's a look I would choose or not, I don't know. They mentioned the skeletonized flipper tab as well. Again, I'm not sure where the advantage of that comes. The blade is quite a nice shape actually though. The profile of the edge is almost like a sodbuster, It's not quite as sort of upturned at the end, but similar sort of thing. You've got an almost straight edge, bit of belly here, and a sharp point. Sharp point helped by the fact you've got a big swedge on the top, and you've got a little cutout, which presumably you could open the knife by if you had a reasonable dexterity. There's some of that sort of chunky jimping on the top. Don't really quite need, I never quite see the point of it. I don't really like jimping, but that's just me. And then you've got these holes cut out to give you some lightening to the handle. I mean, it's not unduly heavy. On this side, not only have you got the cutout, you've got another cutout on the outside. This one is purely for effect, it's to give it a sort of faux bolster look. This one is obviously the relief for the lock bar. It's on the outside, I always prefer on the inside, but hey. We've got a steel inlay for the lock-up for the blade and the over-travel stop, both with, and it's held with 2 screws. So there's quite a lot of screws actually on this knife, as well as those 2 in the pivot. You've got 1, 2, 3 along the back spacer, and then 3 holding the clip on. So, you know, that's 9 screws. It's quite a lot of screws. I always like it when you see a knife that's got 2. Keeps it simple. But hey. The other thing about this knife is the shape. It has a very almost pistol grip like shape to it, which gives it a natural saber grip. So suppose that jimping does fall right under your thumb, the finger cutout goes right round your finger. You've got that flipper tab to stop you sliding forward, and so your thumb on a saber grip. So that says it'll be good for poking. Not that that's a thing for me. This is probably, to be honest, if you haven't guessed, this is not a knife for me. I really don't like this knife. I like the blade shape, but it's about all I like about it. It's certainly actually, I mean, I called it a gas station knife, but the reason this would be the gas station knife on Rodeo Drive or wherever is because it's actually a very high quality knife, very well made. They're made in California by Olamic. There was a point where there was some controversy over where the parts of the knives were made, and of course immediately people thought that some of the parts were made overseas. They kind of assumed it must be a Chinese knife assembled in California. Well, it turns out that they did get certain parts made overseas, but not in China, in Italy. And if you're a Briton, like I am, Italy, America, pretty much, much for muchness. There's no particular preference or aversion to either. It's just absolutely fine. So I suppose I'd better just give you some sort of idea of size and so forth. So compared to the small Sebenza, it's bigger than a small Sebenza. The blade is over, it's about 3 1/3 inches, and compared to the large Sebenza, it's slightly smaller. There's more to the handle because with that curve, it's a bit heavier and chunkier. The blade is narrower than the Sebenza, but it's at least as thick at its thickest point, and it has, I think, a flat ground here rather than a hollow ground. This is a hollow ground, which gives you a finer edge. I think this is quite a solid blade. the way that it's with this rib running along the middle on both sides, it gives it a very pointy, pokey look to it, which is possibly why I kind of take against it. But the other thing I don't understand is, I will bet you that clip added a lot of money to the cost of this knife, but to me it just looks out of place. It looks far too blingy for the knife. But that's all about aesthetics. Anyway, I don't think I've much more I want to say about this knife. I don't think I've much more I could say about it, really. I'm glad to see it. It's nice to see any high quality knife come across my desk, but it's not one I would be rushing out to buy. I don't really get it. But there we are. It's a custom knife, Alamut custom knives. You can do a lot with them in terms of choosing how you want your knife to look. There's so many options available on their website. In fact, it made it quite difficult to tie down which model this was. I believe it's the Wayfarer Compact. But because there's so many options and blade shapes and handle shapes and whatever, it's difficult to be absolutely certain, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Now, okay, so we'll call it quits at that. It's not a bad knife. It's perhaps just not to my taste aesthetically, and that's what puts me off. I'd still rather have one of the whippersnappers if I was going to have an Alamut knife, and I would really quite like one of those. The one with the cleaver blade was my favourite in terms of ergonomics and blade shape. The one that was under Warncliffe would be my choice in terms of fit and finish. It's the way I liked it done. It was a bit more plain, didn't have the green anodization or the I think it was a Timascus insert in it. Anyway, there we go. If you like this stuff, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing and leave a message. Tell me what you think of this knife. I think it's one of those ones that will create strong opinions. You'll either love it or you'll hate it. Anyway, let me know what you do think. Okie doke. Cheers. See ya. Bye.